Late October nights always seemed colder since her family was gone. The kind of cold that crept into the bones. Anna, a young woman with no family left, now spent her evenings alone in the house that once echoed with laughter and late-night conversations. Her parents had passed in a tragic car accident a few years ago, and just when she thought her heart couldn't bear more pain, her older brother passed away suddenly this year. Since then, she had thrown herself into work, into daily routines, anything that could keep her mind from the quiet that lingered in the house. But tonight was different. It was nearly midnight when Anna pulled her heavy quilt around herself and laid her head on her pillow. The moonlight filtered through the thin curtains, casting ghostly shadows on her walls. She was just drifting into sleep when she heard it, a soft but distinct knock somewhere in the house. Her eyes snapped open, her heart quickening. She lay frozen, straining her ears in the dark. Perhaps it was the wind, she reasoned. She pulled the quilt closer, but then came another knock, louder this time. Her mind raced. She was certain it came from the front door. Sitting up, Anna shivered as the chill from the night air seeped through her thin robe. She hesitated, then decided she had to check. She moved cautiously, putting on her slippers and her thicker robe and walked toward the front door. The wood creaked under her feet, the familiar sounds oddly sinister in the silence. When she reached the door, she hesitated, her hand hovering over the doorknob. She leaned forward, peering through the small peephole. All she could see was the empty porch bathed in moonlight, shadows dancing from the movement of tree branches. She took a breath and cracked the door open, her voice soft and trembling. "Anna, hello?" The only answer was the wind whispering through the leaves, the slight chill brushing against her face. Anna closed the door, feeling a bit silly for getting spooked. Just as she turned to go back to bed, she heard it again, another knock, but this time it sounded as if it came from her bedroom. Her heart pounded as she tried to steady her breathing. What's going on? She thought, a trickle of fear creeping into her mind. She headed back to her bedroom, pushing open the door and looking around. The room was silent and empty, just as she had left it. She checked the closet, the window, even under the bed. Nothing, just silence. Then, a loud knock came from the front door again, and she jumped, her nerves now on edge. She swallowed hard and cautiously made her way back to the front door, her hands shaking slightly. This time, instead of looking through the peephole, she decided to call out from behind the door. "Anna, who's there?" a muffled voice responded. "Charles! Hello! My car broke down and I could really use some help." She recognized the voice. It sounded like Charles, the young man who lived a few houses down. They had grown up together, though he had left for college a while back and she hadn't seen him in years. She furrowed her brow. What was he doing back here so late? Anna. Charles. Charles. "Yes, it's me, Anna, please, could you just open the door? It's freezing out here." Relief flooded over her, but then another knock echoed through the house. This time it sounded like it was coming from her bedroom again. Her stomach twisted as she felt a chill wash over her. She glanced back towards her bedroom, confusion and fear colliding in her mind. She called out to Charles through the door, her voice shaky. "Anna, hold on one second, Charles. I need to check something." Leaving the front door, she headed back to her bedroom, feeling the hairs on the back of her neck stand up. She slowly opened the door and looked around. The room was as empty as before. Was she imagining things? Then came another knock, louder than ever, making her jump out of her skin. This time it came from right behind her. Her breath hitched and she whipped around, heart racing, to see nothing. Just her empty hallway, the faint creak of the house settling. Enough was enough. She quickly picked up her cell phone and dialed the police, her voice frantic as she explained the situation, half embarrassed to be calling them but too terrified to care. Within minutes, she saw the glow of police lights flashing outside her window. Relief washed over her as she opened the door, letting 2 officers into her home. She explained everything she had heard, her voice trembling with each word. They assured her they would check the area and told her to stay inside. She watched from the window as they searched her yard, moving methodically with their flashlights. Then one of the officers waved over to another, signaling they had found something. A few moments later, the officer returned to her porch, his face grave. "Officer, miss, we found a man nearby, a few houses down. He was hiding in the bushes. I'm afraid he's dangerous, Anna. Dangerous? Who? Who is he? Officer, we believe he's responsible for a tragedy at your neighbor's home. He had blood on his hands and several knives. It looks like Charles and his family didn't make it." The room spun as she tried to process his words, her stomach turning. Charles. Charles was gone. The voice at her door wasn't him. She felt a wave of nausea and clutched the doorframe to steady herself. Officer. He may have been trying to lure you out. You did the right thing by calling us. She nodded numbly, the reality settling over her. If she had opened that door, she didn't even want to think about what might have happened. After speaking with the officers a bit longer, they assured her they would keep someone patrolling the area for the night. They left and she locked the door behind them, every lock clicking in place louder than usual. The house was quiet again, but it was a different kind of silence, heavy and suffocating. She felt an intense wave of exhaustion wash over her, but sleep felt like the last thing she wanted to do. Still, eventually the adrenaline wore off, and she found herself trudging back to her bedroom. She sat on the edge of her bed, glancing at the framed photo on her nightstand. It was a picture of her family, from one of their last holidays together before her parents' accident. Her mother's warm smile, her father's arm around her shoulder, and her brother's goofy grin. It was a reminder of all she had lost, but also of all she still had to live for. With a sigh, she placed the picture down, her fingers brushing against the cool glass, feeling a tiny spark of comfort. She turned off the light and lay down, pulling the covers over her, staring at the dark ceiling, her mind replaying the night's events. The weight of fear began to ease, replaced by the relief of being safe, by the thought of those who watched over her, even now. And just as she was finally drifting into sleep, knock, knock. It came from her nightstand right beside the photo. Her eyes shot open, her pulse racing as she sat up, staring at the photo in the darkness. The room was silent, but the chill was back, deeper than before. If you enjoyed this tale of mystery and suspense, be sure to like, subscribe, and click the notification bell. And remember, sometimes the scariest things aren't what's out there, they're what's behind the door. Enjoyed the journey? Discover more. If you love diving into this story, there's a whole world of tales and insights waiting for you. Follow us on Medium for fresh stories, thought-provoking articles, and inspiration to spark your curiosity and imagination. Let's explore new perspectives together. See you there. https:/medium.com/glitchman2